upstairs. He said, "Hey broski, you got some heals in the shield pot? I need healing and I am only at 1 HP. Hey dude, sorry, I found nothing on this safari. I checked the upstairs of that house, but not the under."
All right, we are part 2 of the Chug Jug here, so hopefully you've gotten and are where we're at this point. The last video took off and ended at the radius as we were adding that fillet in here, so we're going to also add the fillet in on this side as well to bring that in. Now, at this point, we're going to have to kind of start to take into some other consideration here as we go and start to kind of make some cuts. So let's go back in now and we're going to trim some stuff out. So as I go, so if you think about it, how we're looking at some of this, I want to do one more thing. Before I do, we're going to go ahead and offset this part right here a little bit more. So now originally that was offset at 0.125. I'm going to offset this by 70 thousandths right now. Kind of bring that somewhere in the middle so I can kind of use this a little bit to help me as I start to trim stuff out. So let's go ahead and we're going to trim. So I'm going to trim off these points. I don't need that. And we certainly, at this point, we're going to go ahead and kind of get rid of this outside part. So we're going to start to trim some of this material off. Up here, I don't need that. Now, notice what happened as soon as I kind of did that. So we'll talk about what we need to do to correct that here in a few minutes. We're going to trim this. I don't need that line there anymore. So, yeah, look, it's kind of looking like a Batman cowl. So, all right, let's continue to trim. So, going to trim that and that. Trim off this. So, trim this and this. So we're just kind of trimming this away to get what we want. I will trim off this part. And now we're going to make all this kind of solid here for right now down at this end. So, and we are going to trim this. There we go. Go ahead and get rid of that point. And again, we're going to come up here and start trimming some of this. Now, you're going to wonder what's going on here for now, so just bear with me. You're going to see how this is going to react. Here, I'm getting rid of those points. All right. Now, I need to go back in and add a center line here. So let's kind of come back and we will add this center line. That closes that shape off. Escape this. Go back to my trim tool. I don't need this. Matter of fact, at this point, I don't need anything on this side at all. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leave those lines in here, although I could trim that out as well. And if we take a look, kind of zooming in over here, these aren't like sharp corners. They're kind of got some radiuses on them too. So let's go back in and let's put some fillets on these too. Now we're going to have to make these really small. So, because notice we're at like a half or 50 thousandths there. So I'm going to make this 0.025. We're going to make that radius. I'm going to come in here, that radius. So we're going to soften these and not have them be corners. We're going to have them be radiuses here, so you can see how this makes a change. Okay. Put a radius in that corner. I'm going to come down now and do the same thing down here. So Yep. Not sure what happened, why it gave us our line back. So, not a big deal. So, hit the undo button so that we get that off. And now I can kind of go back and make that radius. .025 in there. All right. I think I got those radii. We're good. So that's kind of where we're looking at here. All right. Let's exit out of the sketch now. So now I really only have more or less the lines that kind of show half of this Chug Jug. So I'm going to now do a revolve, and I want to revolve this and that, so those two faces, and the revolve axis right here. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to say this is the revolve axis, and I want to do this as the full. Notice I can take this as one direction, symmetric, two directions. We could do this only at 180 degrees. We could do this 90 degrees. We'll go ahead and do this a full 360 degrees. So uncheck it, and we are starting to have part of what our Chug Jug looks like. So now, I went a little deeper, might have what looks a little deep here on this. So let's fix that. So I'm going to come back into my sketch, right click and edit this sketch. Let's bring this back around. And to fix this here, I can say, all right, well, we were at 3/8 here. Let's move this up to 200 thousandths. I want to kind of be a little bit higher up on that. All right. Close out. There we go. Now that's looking a little bit more like the actual Chug Jug. And we got some smooth radiuses. It's a little sharp up here, so let's soften that. Well, now in the 3D, I can do a fillet using the 3D fillet tool here. Let me click on this, and notice the size of that radius is 188 thousandths or 3/16. Let's shorten this up. We're going to do 0.03, 30 thousandths on that. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do the same on the inside there too. Click check. That kind of softens and smooths that up. Notice the rest of it is kind of in there based on what we had drawn in the original sketch. So that's looking pretty good. The only thing I'm missing right here is if I take a look, I want to add some of these bands. So here's how we're going to do that. So let's kind of come back to our isometric view here. And I'm going to sketch right now on the front plane. So let's bring this back. We're going to sketch now on the front plane. And as I go into this, so as we're ready to kind of take a look and do this now, I'm going to kind of trace some geometry. Or if you think about it, so if I kind of say, all right, well, I can kind of highlight some stuff here, right? So I know that I've got some of this area. So as we go, so we kind of tell the difference a little bit. So, and we want to have an arc right along these points. So I'm going to come back to my arc creation tool. So let's go ahead with a 3-point arc here. So, and if you think about it, we'll say, all right, well, I'm going to go, if I kind of go from here, so we'll go all the way down to here. So kind of pulling this in, we're just kind of eyeballing some of this, and we're going to trace out some of this geometry. So kind of mimic that a little bit. So let's go ahead with that. And we'll say this was a 12-inch radius 2. Notice how far that goes back in. Well, we don't really like that, right? So let's come up here. Let's click on the sketch and unhide sketch 1. So we can kind of go back in and take a look at where some things are at. Matter of fact, we could probably even go back to sketch 1. So I don't like any of that at all. It's not a big deal at this point for us to just say, all right, let's stop it. Okay, and we have stopped and exited out of that. So I'm going to turn the sketch 1 back on so I can actually see this sketch. Let's kind of come back into that view. So now this is where we're taking a look here and we're seeing what this sketch is right here on that front plane. So let's bring this back in. So we're on that front viewing plane as we looked here. So, and we have some different choices here. So let's go ahead and hit a section view. Now, when we do that section view, we kind of get a better idea of what's going on here. And we can use that to create our geometry. So now let's go back up to and do our sketch on the front viewing plane here. At this point, we can come back right now with this 3-point arc. So, and I'm going to say, all right, I want this to kind of cover from here to here, and we're going to keep that at that original 6-inch radius, or actually it wasn't 6 inches, we did 12, so let's change that to the 12-inch radius. So gets that back in line. We're going to do the same thing now here with the offset tool. So let's come back and get the offset tool. So we're going to move this. So, and I'm going to offset this. So we'll offset it that way, but this is only going to be 30 thousandths. Okay. So we want to be under the other one. So we're at 30 thousandths with that. Now, the last thing I have to do is I want to make sure that we connect these. So let's go back into our line tools. We take a look up here. We want to connect these lines. So I'm going to connect that to there. And I'm going to come down here and we're going to kind of connect from here to there. That way I have a closed off surface. Our sketch is finished. Okay. Now I'm going to basically now do a revolve. So let's kind of come back to my revolve 1. So we've seen everything there that we need. So we're good on that. I'm going to come now and we're going to also revolve this part right here, and the axis that we revolve about again is going to be the same axis. But now here at this point, instead of doing a full, we're going to do a symmetrical. So, and notice right now it says symmetrical revolve angle of 30 degrees. Let's leave that in there and see what happens. So there we go. So we've got that kind of in now. Notice how that's pulling in as well. I've got that, and we're going to kind of take that, and I believe that is kind of in 4 places going around here. So we're going to stop the video now. So, and I'll come back in part 3 and show you what we need to do to finish this up.